Okay, Mr. Porwal, am I audible? So thank you everyone. I think context is very well set now because we are discussing economics part of it. Right? So there is a total consensus in all government levels on two things. One, that greening has to be done, there is no option. And secondly, in greening, the energy transition will play a major role. Because in India, the energy uses will continue to grow. However you like or not, because the level of development we are, and from there, we want to go there, energy per capita consumption has to become 3, 4, 4, 4 or 5. So the energy transition will remain a dominant feature of net zero calculations. That is two consensus at every level of government of India and all governments. Madhya Pradesh was a front runner in this because we have a 24/7 electricity from 2003. So we started doing experimentation with solar energy, and in fact the Riva Ultra Mega project was the first project which bought the renewal at the grid parity level. It was the bidding of Riva multi-available, the cost was 2 rupees 31 paisa per unit. So this idea became that now the solar has become grid parity. In fact, from there onward, subsidies were withdrawn, and we all started thinking that since the cost has come down, everything is an autopilot, we will become completely carbon neutral as time passes. But as MP progressed further and further in renewable energy, and as of now we are consuming around 10% of our energy mix is from renewable, we started feeling that cost of renewables are not even well understood. They are very complex, that we started feeling. Some of it is well known, which are the generation cost, but system cost, was not at least known to us. So I would like just draw attention to these two, because anyway, even if IIT Kanpur want to become energy neutral, they have to struggle with the energy transition. Because without energy transition, it will be almost impossible to become carbon neutral. So what I'll do, I'll just take all data from Madhya Pradesh. So I'll just speak and put some numbers. So the government of the latest, as Prime Minister has said, that country want to become carbon neutral by 2070 and 50% of energy should come from renewable by 2050. In Madhya Pradesh, if we put that numbers in all buckets, then this is it's not displayed properly, but without storage I'm talking about, in next 4 years you will need 78,000 crore rupees of investment. Right? Now once you, put it a simple economic model, the fixed cost implication of this is going to be around 2 rupees a unit. Fixed cost, I am not talking about variable cost. Now the variable cost will depend on, as somebody said, the prices will decline. The prices of energy will only add it to variable component of it. They will not affect the fixed component of it. So even if I do the best case scenario that renewable energy, which has actually started going up, will come down and reach say around 2 rupees, which some institutes are predicting, even then the variable increase will be around 1 rupees. So if you put the fixed and variable cost, the power purchase cost of Madhya Pradesh will go at least by 3 to 4 rupees in next 4 and 5 years if we follow this trajectory. Now,
Vivek, I am not very clear about what you say when you say 2 rupees per fixed. So is that?
No. See, ultimately, thermal and hydro, they comes as whenever the thermal and hydro projects are designed, some part of money is recovered as a investment cost, some part of money is running as a energy cost. So the tariff is two part, fixed cost and variable cost, at least for them. Renewables are must run, so everything is recovered as a variable cost. That's the difference. Renewable, there is nothing called fixed cost. Renewable, if somebody puts up, government has mandated, the utility has to consume it, whether you need it or not. So
and they don't have a variable cost in that sense because
everything is variable for them.
Sun is
no, that's called marginal cost is zero, but they have a variable component because somebody has to put up money and they have to take it out. So for them, what we treat as a variable component. Fixed cost is something when even the utility doesn't draw a single unit, they have to pay it. In this case, we don't have to do that. So in that modeling, actually generally the variable fixed cost of renewables are taken as zero, everything goes into variable. While in hydro and thermal, almost 50 to 60% comes as a fixed cost, and remaining comes as a variable. That's what. So if you do that modeling, I have a slide, but I can't show it here. Roughly the fixed cost component will increase almost by 2 rupees. By this, and variable component will increase either from maybe from 1 rupees to 3 rupees depending on how trajectory technology will take. So all this talk of cost of solar going down etc. will only impact the variable component, they will not impact the fixed component. So if you add the two, the tariff increase will be roughly around 4 to 6 rupees per unit. Now the question arises, in this country, can you or should you sell the electricity at 6, 10 or 11 rupees? Somebody was making equity concerns and all those things start coming into picture. Now these are without storage, let me clarify. They are without storage. If you add a storage part to it, then you add another 5 rupees per unit at least.
I have an assumption that this policy will remain as it is.
Which one?
This fixed and variable cost policies for all the modes of energy will remain
No.
as it is. That's your assumption.
As of even now, it is only valid for two, hydro and thermal. For others, the tariff is only single part tariff, that is a variable component. Even now. Worldwide it is like that. Because thermal, when you invest, you have to recover.
Yes. Ms. Porwal, this is the 76,000 crores is the amount if you were to hit the 2070 and 2050 targets, right?
No, 2030. 2029, 30, if I have to follow the government of India with the trajectory they have given us for renewal.
Yes, so this is the
50%.
Yeah, this is the investment required to hit the targets in 2070 and 2050 in the next 5 years.
No, I'm saying that they have given us a trajectory. Prime Minister has given its trajectory that by 2050 you have to become 50% of energy needs to come from renewable. So government of India has set a trajectory for the state. So I am taking a trajectory only 2000 because they have notified only up to 2029, 30 only. So that I am saying if you take that into consideration, I think they are reaching only 35%, not even 50.
50%, I see.
So that investment, $10 billion only for Madhya Pradesh, at the national level it is around $400 billion. So first question is from where this money is going to come from, and second, the bigger question is who is going to pay for it. That's second question. Now this is something which was known to people, these costs. But the another cost which started coming to everybody notice was system cost of it. See what happens that there is a associated intermittency problem with all renewables, because renewables gives you energy during the only daytime, solar, and wind generally comes in night. So what happens that when there is sudden very fast ramp of the solar, so people have to shut down thermal. Correct? And in night,
Or hydro. Thermal or hydro.
hydro generally is always used for peaking power, so anyway they are not run for whole day, they are only run for peaking energy requirement. And in evening, when there is no solar, the thermal has to be ramped up very fast. So that is the first question started coming, this system cost attached to it. And the bigger problem when green hydrogen etc. started coming, what is called banking. Now banking is a situation what people want to do, they want green hydrogen. So basically what green hydrogen effectively means, please tell me when I am supposed to finish. So what green hydrogen essentially means that you will generate excess solar energy in day, break the hydrogen and oxygen molecule in water, store energy there and burn that hydrogen somewhere else. So you have to generate excess energy. So once you generate excess energy, you have to put into grid, because it is not an institute project. That will use somewhere else. So once you put that much excess energy into in the grid, and you want to draw in night you can get energy only from thermal or nuclear. So if I have a 600 megawatt green hydrogen project, he want to draw 600 megawatt during night hours, so I have to put up with 600 megawatt thermal. So the whole question of greening becomes self-defeating now. I hope you got my point. So these are so basically so there are four costs which people started coming to know, that the banking increases start mandating what is called fixed cost increase, because you have to tie more and more thermals. Secondly, what is started happening is what is called the banking of shutdown of thermal power stations. Thermal power station has a very unique feature that they take at least 4 time blocks or 8 time blocks to go down and go up. So when you actually want to shut down, they can't be shut down immediately. It takes hours together. So there is cost attached to that. And thirdly, there is a cost attached to what is called as variable escalation of price. I don't have time, but what I can do, so in Madhya Pradesh, there is a project called Avada Energy which want to set up a green hydrogen. We did a calculation for that. The cost is coming 4 rupees 26 paisa per unit, system cost. So now, this is a system cost. Now this system cost, you add it to the investment cost which I showed it to you. The net cost escalation will be around 10 rupees. Now 10 rupees, obviously you can't, and plus you add tariff into it, it becomes 15 rupees. You just cannot in this country sell power at 15 rupees a unit. So whatever we do, Saubhag, etc., people will start. In fact, in some of the, it might so happen that people will start saying कि साहब अपना connection आप ले जाइए, हमको बिजली नहीं चाहिए, we can't afford it. So that's the question I wanted to raise is simply this. At every forum, this question is being raised. That without solving this issue of the hidden cost, system cost of renewals, it will not be feasible to move beyond a point. Things are stuck there. So obviously there are a lot of strategies that people are working out, lot of ways it has been modeled. One of the ways, because this is not a forum to discuss all that, but anyway, there are a lot of methods people are designing to bring in the system cost. Now, the one thing that there was somebody said the storage. At aggregate level, obviously the issue of availability of storage, because in worldwide the battery storage is not even 1% of grid storage. As of now, and the IEA, International Energy Institute, is saying the best case scenario you will have 3% of the battery storage in the next 10 years, because its huge scale is so huge. The best case scenario, the cost is of the battery storage as of now is 9 rupees. They may come down 3 rupees, but they are only storage costs. They have to be added to the energy cost. Similarly, the pumped storage, which is the dominant storage as of now, even there the prognosis is that it might not come down very far, to a large extent, because it has a civil cost, nothing else. Pumped storage is nothing else, civil cost. So it in fact might go up. So that the power sector economics is actually started playing a now dominant role. So one part where like Europe is realizing now suddenly that, I mean, as an idea is good. I mean, you want to do greening, but then when you start doing greening, then this cost phenomena start coming into picture, and they come in a very, very big way. So I'll stop here because I didn't have the whole slide to show.
Technology has a problem.
It's a Peter's law, Murphy's law. When you need things the most, it fails.
So many claims are being made about this.
Can I make a last statement so that everything? See, I also did a simulation. If you don't use solar renewable, then what is the cost line? It is worse than that. So there is no question that it has to be greening has to be done. The thermal based scenario, apart from all ecological consideration or moral consideration, economically is also bad. So we are actually in that stage. I mean, we can't go back. There is a problem in moving forward. So everybody is struggling how to go forward.
Vaibhav, you have a question?
Sure, thanks. First of all, thanks for this presentation. I think
I couldn't make it actually.
Yeah, you could have made it much better, but this is still like quite pertinent and like really bang on. I think just one sort of very macro level question / maybe observation is, on one hand, you're talking about the large scale grid connected capacities, be it conventional or newer. On the other hand, there are these DREs, distributed renewables, microgrid, mini grids, and so on and so forth. So what I'm sensing broadly from you and the previous presenter was that in your case, you are saying that even today, because of the system cost which is generally hidden on top of these fixed and variables and so on and so forth, it's kind of above any which way 5 to 6 to 7 rupees or something a unit, which somebody has to pay ultimately. I don't know, government or end user, difficult to pass through. And on the other hand, in the previous presenter said, there's an experiment of a 25 odd kilowatts wherein they said for 3.35 rupees. So what do you like broadly think the future of maybe city or state would be? Is it more economically good and sustainable to go like a more grid way or a more DRE way?
In fact, there was a slide on that.
Yeah.
See, the issue is that you raises two issues basically: whether the energy injected should be at the bar level or should be at the consumption.
Whether we should
No, I got it.
have a plan like from the top down or like bottom up.
Okay,
in a way.
so I have said this way. Simple is this: if you inject energy at say grid level and use it at the consumer level, there is a losses of around 10 to 11%. So it always makes sense to inject energy at the consumer level. That's called distributed energy generation.
Yeah.
So that's always a cost effective. So if people are putting the solar on their rooftops or farmers are using solar panels, they are always beneficial. So there is a simple number I can put it. If economically it makes sense for Madhya Pradesh, if the farmer generates solar at the rate up to even 3 rupees it makes for us to buy electricity, while for outside it has to be at 2 rupees 63 paisa below that.
Sorry, I didn't get it. Like the last bit. For outside as well.
No, but I think there is something called solar, big solar field people are putting, big solar
The
plant.
ultra big
Ultra big.
capacity. Okay.
So that, okay, so the simple is like this. If the cost of solar is less than my average variable cost, it will always help me to bring down the cost. So as of now, last year my average variable cost is 2 rupees 98 paise. So anything which comes below that, it reduces my cost. Anything below that, above that, it increases my cost.
Slightly attached question. So, like these larger capacities of solar, do the variable costs that you're considering are in that bracket or not?
They used to be, but last tender that we did, it has cost 3 rupees.
Oh, it's
So they have gone up.
Solar panels rates are going
So they have gone up. So it used to be 2 rupees 92 paisa. That's where everybody was euphoric. Now it's
So isn't
become.
it a lot of these facilities that government also give like a relatively easier or cost effect or maybe cheaper land and some evacuation capacities that government also put in the money even for these larger solar capacities. I mean, solar in Rajasthan, I don't know about MP.
So I'm saying, see, the whole these costs has to be shared.
Yeah.
So either, as you said, some part of it government shares in form of various forms, subsidy,
And that's
helping.
why you have these 3 rupees.
Yeah.
Even with government putting it money, right?
No, these are without subsidy. They are without subsidy.
So the 2 rupees that you called as system costs.
4 rupees, 26.
4 rupees.
26, yeah.
So do they also include the life cycle cost?
No, nothing. They are only system costs.
So then that's not the right integration.
That's not
So you have to add to it. So that's what I'm saying. So you have to add to all environmental recycling costs, you will add it to it. So if you add the battery, that's why I don't think battery will be future to my mind. There will be pumped storage kind of thing will be future. So battery will anyway be used only for peaking, what is called DMS management, deviation settlement mechanism, to take care of the peaking loads. Worldwide they are doing that only. Nobody is using for catering for the energy needs. Germany also, they use it only for 1 hour morning, peak load morning, 1 hour peak load in the evening.
Okay, I have 2 observations.
So-
One is that we are all assuming that energy should not be costly, and I am questioning that. Anything which is polluting should be costly because that's the way to get consumption down. If energy is 3 rupees a unit or free, you will have everybody switching from LPG to electric chulhas, which happened in Punjab. So first thing, I think we should not make this assumption that energy should be cheap. Energy should be very costly. This is my personal view. Right?
Oh.
No, but I think we should
Yeah,
cost
so
energy.
fair point, yeah.
Absolutely. But if it's polluting, a Tesla is called a pollution tax in Singapore because of the waters per kilometer that it kind of uses. Right? Anyway, I'm digressing. So that's one. And second is, when you have distributed solar, when you are paying for storage, you will end up using it more efficiently. When you are doing it at a mass scale, the efficiency will not come in. मेरा खुद का है तो मैं ऐसा नहीं, I'll kind of put a lot of inner thinking into saying कि भैया मेरे को ये जरूरी है या नहीं है, those kind of things. So I think the way forward, according to me, is distributed.
And that's
And
what-
we will
that's
have
what
to-
he was
Can I
also-
answer your two
That's
questions?
what he was saying.
Number one, see, finally, people has aspirations. And it's very, very immoral on my part to say not to use freezer and TV in your house. At the stage of development we are, our average energy consumption is only 1 kilowatt and per capita consumption these days. Whatever you do, whatever efficiency you bring, people will consume more and more energy because that's the way. That is first part. Only rich can bring their consumption down because that's what is called as consumption, discretionary consumption. But abhi to is desh mein people have even not survival consumption. They don't have even electricity in their homes. Forget about efficiency. They don't even see the electricity. So this part will go up. Energy consumption will go up. And second, you said about the storage part. See, at aggregate level, storage is only a storage. You will need energy source to fill that storage. Correct? So storage doesn't come in that calculation. I am talking about energy requirements. In the country like India, energy requirements are growing at the rate of 7% annum. Right now, and they are projected to go another 50 years at that rate. Then this tapering start taking off. So now, yeah, can you just put it there?
It's not connecting with that, but you
That's
can-
it. Yeah. So actually, I could have shown all that, but anyway, you got the sense of it. Now we cannot. I mean, we have to face that question. If today, not today, then tomorrow. Every one of us has to face this question: how this transition has to be made, who has to pay for it. In fact, I have a feeling developed nation has to pay for it. Seriously, if you see my simulation, around 17% cost comes from the interest cost. 17% of the cost. 1/7. So if the World Bank made the loan available concession as 1%, this cost will substantially come down. So a lot of financial modeling has to be done to bring this cost. So
You talked about the trajectory for the non-renewable resources, their prices. Can you make a comment on that?
Yeah, I had actually a slide for that. See, there is two school of thought. Earlier people were saying the cost by 2030 will come down to 1.9. There was a prediction made by, I think, some US based institute.
Bloomberg also said that.
Yeah, so Bloomberg or somebody said it will come down. So that was earlier optimistic scenario people were having, but now in fact the cost has started going up. But what I am saying is whether they go up or down, they will only affect your variable component of the cost. They are not going to affect the fixed component of the cost. So even in best case scenario, see how this cost will interact. Just an example. When a renewable energy unit generated has to replace energy generated from fossil fuel. So to that extent, the variable cost of fossil fuel has to be compared with the energy of the renewal, cost of the renewal. Correct? So this has to replace this, so net gain should be difference of that. So as of now, at national level, the average variable cost is around 3. So anything renewal goes above 3 will add only to the cost. It will not reduce the cost.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, please.
What about, this might not be politically, what about small nuclear?
Actually, I couldn't show the percentage, that's the whole problem. So now there is now the whole energy planning needs to be changed, how we do the plan energy. Earlier what we were doing is we were taking the load cycle of the whole day and we were saying we will ensure that a state has to have a capacity for the peak load of the whole day so that it can, right? Now what has started, two things have started happening because of renewals. Since renewals are available in day, so what they are saying is now you only consider what is called a non-solar hour power requirement. Right? Non-solar power requirement and 97 confidence level, the general planning the standards are these days which every state is asked to plan. Now, because now non-solar hour is basically means either it has to come from thermal or nuclear. The nuclear, if you see the cost, it has actually gone up in last 10 years. Not because of technology, because the technology was rejected everywhere. In Europe, US, So the economy scale didn't operate. Now in fact the small modular is coming now. In fact the government of India is saying the future is nuclear.
Yeah.
Thermal, they are not sanctioning a single project now. So everything has to be worldwide, at least in India they are planning the base load, non-solar hour base load has to be catered only through nuclear. So nuclear is the future. Modular nuclear. So I heard somewhere very startups are coming and they are suggesting some technology and in fact DST, Department of Science and Technology, they have earmarked fund for startups which are working in nuclear.
Bill Gates has got a small.
Yeah, so they want to bring it down.
So I have one last question. I have one last question,
please.
and then we'll move on to the last presentation because we have to move on. Is in the case where you're looking at distributed energy, where different forms of energy would come in, and where the load is actually taken off of your system effectively. Do the utilities as they are currently formed to supply electricity, do they have a future in distributed energy? Do they have a role to play?
Yeah, they very much have a role to play. In fact, the grid will always be there in whatever form because you need a carrier for electricity or energy to go from one place to another place. Till now, what was the basic understanding of grid was that generation is predictable. Load is also predictable. If you see 3 generations of power sector, the first generation of power sector was when people were thinking and knowing that load and generation both are predictable. Then the 2.0 came when they say that generation is predictable, load is unpredictable. Now basic renewables are saying that third generation power sectors where generation is also unpredictable and load is also unpredictable. So what is now has to be done is grid has to become a lot of electronic now because it has to sense at what point who is generating how much, then what it has to aggregate up and then it has to subtract the remaining one and requisition from thermal. So in that real sense, till now what was being done is what is called scheduling. Scheduling is done in advance, one day. So we tell the all thermal generator that this time block you have to give this much. That has to be done real time. Because if the aggregate renewal goes down, then thermal has to be given a more, it has to ramp up. If it goes up, then this has to ramp down.
So much more demand response kinds of.
Yes, so a lot of technology has to go in this grid now, which was not the case earlier. So I have not added that technology cost, that will be separate to all them. So it's a costly affair that what will be seen. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
That was very good.